Hello everyone, it's Justine. Today I'm going to be making a card using the Pop-Up 3D Vignette alarm clock die. And this is one of the dies that is part of the subscriptions from Spellbinders. So every month there's something new that comes to you, and here it is for November. This really pretty alarm clock. So I'm just going to kind of layer it on piece by piece. This will be an A2 sized card, although I'm pretty sure that this alarm clock would fit on a 5x7 card. It would just have a little bit more on the borders. Looks like my tape runner is out, so I'm just going to grab a new one here. The color palette that I went with for this card was kind of inspired by like the late fall, early Christmas colors with the kind of pinky maroons, purples, and greens. And of course I had to pop in some of this gold mirrored cardstock. So that was kind of where I was coming from. It kind of reminds me of like cranberries and just cozy things. All right, now the background of this card I have to kind of think about before I just start gluing on, because there's the little legs for the alarm clock, and then there are the bell parts. So I don't want those to stick off per se. So I'm going to just be careful about placement. You can see that this clock goes all the way to the edge of my matted layer. So then that would mean that the clock is 4 inches wide at its widest point. There we go. I think that'll be fine. I don't know if I'll be using this part of the alarm clock really, but I think that'll do it. So since the top's kind of coming into the gray here a little bit, I will come into the gray a little on the bottom as well. Just going to use a little bit of craft tape that's been kind of used a couple times so it's not terribly sticky, and just put it on there so I remember, and just flip it over. I could use liquid glue to glue this on, but I have my tape runner here, so I just grabbed that. I will be using some liquid glue in a couple minutes here as I put together the rest of the clock. But first, we're going to do some adhesive. Just kind of centering the bottom a little bit. There we go. I guess I didn't go into the gray as much as I originally planned, but that is life. I think for some of these other pieces I will use some liquid glue. So I use Barely Art liquid glue for my gluing needs, for my liquid gluing needs, that is. And I really like using it. It's perfect for crafting with paper, and it dries clear. It has a nozzle fine tip on it. Right now I'm using a small version of a glue bottle, so it just has the Barely Art glue in there, but it's not marked in any way. But I've bought the refill of the Barely Art glue, and I just pour it into my little bottle, and I just prefer using a smaller bottle because it's just less things in my work surface, and it just is really easy to squeeze. But if you're a big bottle person, they do have large glue bottles too. I have a link for that glue in the description if you're interested in checking that out. I also have a link for this whole die set, so you can see there's so many pieces to this, and it was kind of fun to plan out. So to make the green, I used just this regular die here, and it is a 3D die, so I just cut off the little tabs that would go on the side to help make it 3D, because I just wanted to put it right onto my card. To make this part, I used this die that has like the intricate detail design on there with this big one, so that cut out around. Then I used this larger circle for the inside, and that gave me this purple piece. Now to glue this on, I think I will reach for my liquid glue, a little bubble, and just kind of hit the main areas that have more surface for glue to stick to. So maybe this inner circle here and then the outer circle. I guess it's not quite a circle on the outside, it's a little flatter on the edges, but I think you kind of get the drift. Speaking of drifts, I saw a couple different people using this die to make snow globes, which I thought was so creative. So if you're wanting to make a snow globe, this is the die to pick up. And I think you could easily make this into a shaker card for a snow globe and just put some kind of a clear acetate on before you put this purple piece on, and you would get that window that you're needing for a shaker card. So just if you're interested, I suppose I should mention some things. Now I'm going to work from the outside in. This was the part that makes it actually look like a clock, would be the numbers and the hands here. For the numbers, this was just using this this die here, and then I used the big one that I used for the purple in the middle, and then my next smaller circle, and that gave me this gray piece to make the clock part. If you're crafting along with me and you have this die and you're trying to figure out all the pieces, you can always pause the video and check it out. Alright, now I need to make sure that I glue 12 o'clock going up, because if I were to put it there, it would look a little odd to have a clock and not have 12 on the top. But, you know, I suppose it wouldn't be the end of the world. Again, for this, I'm going to just go in the inner circle and the outer circle and not even put glue on the numbers, because I don't really want big glue blobs everywhere. Even though the Barely Art glue is clear when it dries, I just don't really think it's necessary to put on the numbers anyway. Alright, let's get the 12 on the top and the middle. I think that looks about right. 6 on the bottom. Oh, it's kind of nice. There's a line in the design, and I think that kind of helps make it straight. Alright, gonna give that a hold for a minute here. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. I won't have a ton of videos going up here in November just because there's a lot going on in my personal life, but I will have a daily video in the month of December, so I'm kind of preparing for that here in November. Anyway, as I keep going with my clock, this piece I used, again, that other die, the circle one, then this kind of ribbed die, and it just kind of gives the little notches as if it were for the clock. And I guess I got kind of lucky there because my notches line up with my 12 and 6, 3 and 9, so that worked out well. Then for this smallest circle, I used this die, I guess solid circle, smallest solid circle, and this very, very smaller one, I used the smallest plain circle die and then the design die. So I'll just assemble those on. I know some people who are card people like to assemble the whole, like maybe they would assemble the whole clock and then put it onto the card. And some people kind of like to do the layering like I'm doing now on the card itself. I guess for me it just kind of depends on what the size of everything is. So with this clock, since it's pretty large with the clock taking up the majority of the card, I didn't really want to have a piece that I would glue on at the end. I figured I should just build it on the card as I go. And this design has 2 lines in it, this top line and bottom line, so I'm going to have those point to the 12 and the 6. Just looks kind of good to my eye. Then I'm going to take my reverse tweezers, if I can find it, and those will help me glue on the hands for the clock. All right, now that my hands are on the clock, I will just glue on my sentiment. Now I chose to use 2 of the sentiments from this die set. I chose to use Good Times Ahead, It's Your Time, and I'm going to put that behind, or on top of, I guess, some gold mirrored cardstock as kind of a nod to the clock hands. And I just love the way it looks, so I chose to use gold. Now there are a few other ways you could use the sentiment dies for this. You could just have It's Your Time, you could just have Good Times Ahead, you could just have Rise and Shine, or Rise and Shine, It's Your Time, or Rise and Shine, Good Times Ahead. So it's kind of up to you when you make the card yourself what you want as your sentiment. But now that I have that all glued on, I'm just going to put it on the bottom. And I think I'm going to try to center it a little bit here. It just kind of makes sense in my head. I'll just let that sit for a second here. And I'm looking at my card. I don't think it needs anything really else. I think that it would be really fun to do this or make this clock as a 3D clock. I just did not choose to do that today, but I have the die, so I probably will be making one in the future. Either way, I hope you like the card today, and if you have this die, I'd like to know what color you're going to make your clock. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed today's card or the video or got any tips or anything out of it, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future. We'll see you next time. Bye!